I appreciate everybody making time for this. So we'll just give it a couple more minutes.
Thank you, everyone, for being on time. I feel special. Okay. I just shared it to my social media. If anybody else wants to take the time to just share the link.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
if anybody on this call, if you guys have any friends or family members that might be interested in joining, let me know. I can throw the Zoom link on the chat, and that way you guys can just text it out to people. That way they easily can just join. Matter of fact, I'm just going to throw that in now. All right, perfect. Especially since it's a small, intimate group. Let's unmute our cameras, or what is it?
Yeah.
Turn on your cameras. Yeah. That way we can all see each other, see who's here, say hello, gauge the facial expressions to see if we're doing terrible. I'm just kidding. All right. I think it's a good time to get started.
Some people might be in their jammies already, so they're
They're eating dinner right now. Yeah. All right, cool. So again, my name is Raul, the realtor, part of the Lepe Tendwell family over here. And here I have Claudia with me. And let's go ahead and get started. We got Claudia working up the presentation over here.
Yeah. Sorry.
And this is actually one of my favorite presentations because there's a lot of information just being thrown around, especially with social media nowadays. We have what's called information overload, right? We just have too much information and not really knowing what exactly to trust. So the fact that you guys took time to meet with real estate professionals that are in the industry doing this day in and day out, I think it speaks volumes to how dedicated you are to your goals on being a homeowner. So let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about the differences between being a homeowner compared to being that of a renter. So on the next slide, we have, if Claudia would be so gracious, thank you. On the next slide, we actually have the Lepe Tendwell brokerage. We actually have a bunch of new faces that we need to update this with, but this is the Lepe Tendwell brokerage, full of realtors over here. So if at any point you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself, unmute yourself, throw any questions into the chat. And even after the workshop, if you guys still have questions, we'll put our information down in the chat, but you can also feel free to reach out to your favorite Lepe Tendwell realtor so we can get you situated. All right. So Claudia, how do they get a hold of us?
You guys can follow us on our social media. Here's our handles for the Lepe page, the team page, and Raul the realtor. Is that 119?
It's Raul the realtor 1119. I think that's a little easier, right? Yeah. Got a few head knots. Yeah.
And my handle there. Then you guys can be awesome and leave us a review. It will help us grow and share with the community of our amazing classes.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Claudia. I think that it's really important for you guys, for us to hear back from you guys. This is how we know if we're doing the right thing, getting better, or if there's something that we need to improve on. And like Claudia said, getting the word out to the rest of the community. That way everybody's benefiting from all this awesome information. Yep. Cool. So the next slide here is going to talk a little bit about the real estate market. Now, we're going to take one quick second to talk about the real estate market, even though it's not a real estate market class, but it's very important to know what's happening in the market because this correlates directly with your real estate goals. So in terms of inventory right now, we're sitting just under 2,400 homes. We're actually up 8% in the last 2 weeks, and I'm sounding surprised because I am. We've been really low on inventory for several years now, and just to put this number into perspective, this time of year, we're supposed to have anywhere between 6,000 to 8,000 homes for sale. So we only have about 2,400, not enough houses to go around. Demand actually went down for the first time in 2 weeks. It went down 3%, but don't let that number fool you. There still are a lot more buyers than there are sellers in this market, which leads us directly with market time. So if a house is selling from the moment that you're putting a for sale sign on your front lawn to the moment that you get an offer, if a house is selling in under 90 days, it's a seller's market. The sellers have the leverage in negotiations. Now, if your house is selling in the under 60 days, then that means that it's a hot seller's market. I mean, the competition is really heating up. Today, we're sitting at 39 days, and we actually went up 3 days from a couple of weeks ago. But again, don't let those 3 extra days fool you. It's still very much a hot seller's market. Sellers definitely have the upper hand in negotiations. Now, for all of us that are saying, hey, I'm going to wait for that deal, I'm going to wait for that foreclosure. Well, don't hold your breath. There's only 5 foreclosures and 5 short sales in all of San Diego County. So there's 10 total. And that just tells us that people can afford the houses that they have today. And this housing shortage is not going to get any better anytime soon. Here we have some numbers on some new builds, but just to put it in perspective, we need about 12 to 15,000 new builds annually to catch up to this housing shortage, which is about 125,000 houses that we need in San Diego County. And last year, new developers or builders, they only built 4,000 new houses. So there's not a lot of houses that is going to hit the market anytime soon. So definitely don't wait. Let's get started.
Thank you, Raul. This is great. And it did surprise me to see those numbers.
Yeah.
And it's kind of good for buyers who are already pre-approved and ready, because that will give them a chance for the opportunity of, that window opportunity that we see in the market. But we did introduce our guests, but Raul, if you can give them that right introduction.
Oh yeah, we got to give them the proper introduction. So this right here is actually one of our really good loan officers. He's been doing this for a very long time. Definitely knows what he's doing, and he's very resourceful, can always find the answer to whatever question you ever have.
Raul.
I
Can you
lost
hear
you,
me?
Raul.
Hello.
Did I?
I think we all
I
froze.
lost them. You guys lost them.
I think we're all back.
Okay.
I was like, I'm not sure what happened. Okay.
Janelli, yeah, I think it did freeze. Can somebody confirm with us if we're back online now?
We're
We're
back.
back.
All right, cool, good stuff. All right, perfect. So Art, I think you're about to tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, yep, just like Raul said, I've been in the mortgage industry for 12 years. Been able to help all kinds of families and just, people with different type of financing, which is like mostly first-time home buyers, investments, just different kind of FHA, conventional, VA, just multiple type of transactions. So been in the mortgage industry for 12 years. So yeah, I've been happy to say that I've been able to get a lot of families and homes and give them good direction and good advice when they're purchasing their home.
Awesome. Perfect. So let's get right into it. What's the big deal with renting? There's no big deal. No, it is a big deal. I mean, you do need a roof over your head, but we'll start off with the first point. Rents do increase about 9% each year. So if you didn't know, in January 2020, a law came in effect with rent control here in the San Diego County that a landlord can raise your rent up to 9% each year. Right here, you can kind of see how that would play out. If your rent starts at $2,500, eventually in year 4, it will increase up to $3,200. So it does go up. So stability definitely leaves the room. And you do get 0 return in investment. So what does that mean? That means all that money you're paying monthly, when you give your notice, or if they give you a notice, you walk away with 0. So there's, maybe your deposit, but that was no additional investment. So you walk away with 0. And this is what the numbers will look like. So the median rent price in San Diego is about $3,323 per redfin.com. And let's say you do pay $3,323 a month, times 12, which is a year, your rent amount is $39,876 that you don't see again. It is bye-bye, down the toilet, gone. Renters, I think families stay in homes for about 5 years in average. Sometimes they stay because of they're comfortable. I see a lot of families not leave because the rent is affordable. They have a lot of space. They have a yard. They have the 2-car garage and it's super comfortable. And that's sometimes like I think the biggest factor of them staying because they do dip into buying and then they see, oh wow, my payment is going to be slightly higher and I get a smaller house, but they don't see that this money that they're paying every month
Are we lost again? Did we
Yeah,
lose?
seems like it.
Okay. Let's give him a few minutes. I think the internet was a little spotty throughout the day today. While I was hosting my agent training, I got disconnected too. So they're probably gonna jump on the other side. One sec.
Sorry about that, everybody. Looks like we were having a little bit of a issue with the connection there, but I think we're all back and ready to go. Can everybody hear me okay? That not will do.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. But Claudia's joining again right now. Let's give it another 30 seconds for people to get logged back in. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so while Claudia joins us back in, there she is. I got this popped up for us. All right. Claudia, go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what you were about to tell us.
see what the internet gods do. Soon as I start feeling comfortable, they come and shut me down. That's uncalled for. I quit.
Perfect.
Okay.
Go ahead and throw it back on for us, Claudia.
I don't know where I'm at. Hold on. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, wait, I'm in the wrong slide though. Okay.
you were right there.
Where did I leave off? I was so inspired.
You were saying that the buyers or the renters, what they don't see is all the savings, I think.
That they throw away. Thank you,
That they-
Holly, for. See, I'm glad she was paying attention, Raul.
Yeah. No, definitely. I'm glad she was too, because it's true. And Claudia, everything you were saying is very true as well, where people, they only look at the numbers and they look at the difference in the payment and they look at the difference in between the size of the houses and potentially even the amenities, right? But they're
Yeah.
not looking at the benefits down the line, right? And I think this is what you're trying to tell us right now, that in 5 years, if this person is renting out a spot for $3,300 a month, I mean, not 5 years for, oh yeah, that is 5 years. And that's just assuming that they didn't even raise the rent those 5 years, right, Claudia?
Correct.
So
That's
in
assuming-
hindsight, this renter is actually saving money
Yeah.
with that landlord, right? So this number could be a lot higher. So this is
No.
best case scenario, right? This is best case scenario. You're in your spot for 5 years. They didn't raise your rent, not once. And now that's what you're paying, right, Claudia?
Yes, and the reason why I left it at the same price is because we do run into a lot of clients that come in and say, they have that a landlord that they know for years, that landlord that it's super chill, family member, they don't raise the rent, they, just keep it and it's comfortable for them. So
Right.
that's why I didn't increase that number. Because I feel the ones that do get their rent raised on a regular and it does hit that $5,000, they're the ones that start thinking like, wait, I should just own. So this
Right.
slide is for those that are comfortable in renting and think, oh man, right now my lifestyle is comfortable. My rent is low, but they don't see the growth underneath the ground.
Well,
Yeah.
200,000 is the minimum you would
Mhm.
lose, the
Yes.
minimum. I just
Yeah.
had a girlfriend, she just posted, she's been in the same place for 24 years. And
Wow.
now she has, like, someone bought it. They're all getting evicted, all this stuff going on right now. And she doesn't even know what to do because everything's like double what she's used to.
Yeah.
It's
And that
crazy.
brings us to the next point, that you are paying someone else's mortgage. You are paying someone else's lifestyle. I mean, granted, they are free to do what they want with their money, but you are paying for that saving. You're the savings for them. So instead of them putting into their savings, you're putting into their savings. So you
Yeah,
want to
so
make
Holly,
sure.
that one landlord for your friend for 24 years must have loved your friend. I mean, for 20, if I had
No.
somebody, if somebody signed up and said, hey,
Yeah.
Raul, I'll sign up for 24 years to pay for your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot.
And I have to move out like in 30 days and her daughter is going to college in August. So she has to like move and you know what I mean? It's just like, what the
Yeah.
heck? It's terrible. I'm almost in tears for her. She's probably freaking the F out.
Well, the
Yeah.
good thing is that, you're a realtor here at Lepe Tendwell, inviting your folks onto these workshops too, so we can all get educated, right? So,
She's
Claudia,
not on here, but I'll be sending her the recording for
there you
sure.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
And speaking of recording, if anybody wants the recording here after to send it to anybody else, you can feel free to send us a message and we'll send it over to you as well.
Yes. And lastly, restrictions, you do have landlord's restrictions. Sometimes they are, whether you can have family that sometimes they're like, hey, can I stay in your place for a month? And the landlord can have a restriction on that. The landlord can restrict on what the condition you want. If you want a kitchen remodel, they might say no. I also know a lot of excellent tenants that do those remodels, and then once they get the 60-day notice, they're like, man, I put so much money in this landlord's home, so I don't recommend you as a tenant to remodel or do any upgrades, because at the end of the day, it's not your home. The landlord would benefit on all those upgrades in the long run. And investing money in your 20s is hard, but so is working in your 70s. So the choice is yours. And like Holly mentioned, I've been in situations where a whole fourplex was being sold. The lady, we give notice, and the lady was devastated, saying, where is she going to move? She's lived there for 40 plus years. Her first son was born there. And, her rent is like $900. And where else is she going to pay that amount in San Diego now? Unfortunately, I don't think it exists. So this quote reminded me of that situation of, we must invest in our 20s so our 70s can be easier. So hopefully this resonated with someone and they can attack.
Yeah, I like that one for sure. So the rent trap. Claudia kind of touched on it a little bit, right? The rent trap. What is the rent trap? The rent trap is like my buddy who I was telling forever to buy a house. And he was like, no, man, why would I buy a house? I got a 2-bed, 1-bath condo right here in North Park. I'm chilling. It's like, I can walk to my favorite coffee spot. I can walk to my favorite breakfast spot and my lunch spot. It's all within walking distance. He's like, I don't want that high mortgage. I don't see the benefit in it. So then we came up with this scenario and we showed it to him and he saw the value. And I'm hoping that this makes sense to you all as well, right? So it goes kind of like this. This subject property is different, right? This is not the one that my buddy bought, but this is the scenario here. So it's a 3-bed, 2-bath house. It's about 1,200 square feet in La Mesa, fairly remodeled, right? It's a pretty decent house, and it's in a really nice part in La Mesa, right? You know, it's kind of by the Grossmont High School, Harry Griffith Park area, right? This is a house that we sold a few months ago. So if somebody was to rent that house today, you can get about $4,000 for that house, right? Monthly rents. Now in 5 years, you're spending about $67,000. And I'm not as nice as Claudia was. I was raising the rent 9% every year. So at the end of 5 years, this particular person is going to pay $67,755 in rent, just in rent, right? Now, on the flip side, but they got $4,000 payment. That's cool, right? But the owner, if they want to buy it, 5% down, right? Just first time buyer, 5% down, wants to come in and buy this house. And this is a $700,000 house, by the way. Their payment is going to be just shy of $5,500 a month. Now, the average consumer is going to look at this and go, why would I even consider paying another $1,500 a month? Like Claudia said, that's going to shatter my lifestyle. I'm not going to be able to go to my coffee shops anymore, go out to lunch, go out to dinner with my friends. You know, I'm not going to be able to go to Disneyland, you know, on my girls trip like Claudia does, you know, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, you know, it's going to impact your lifestyle. Think about it, $1,500 a month. You can have a lot of fun with $1,500 a month, right? And that's the main reason why people say no. Now, check this out. In 5 years, part of that payment is going to principal, interest, taxes, insurance. Sure. But key word was principal. There's this thing called principal pay down where as time goes by, part of your payment is going to knock down the balance that you actually owe on this house. And in 5 years, just through principal pay down, let's just assume, and this is a crazy assumption because we're in San Diego, let's just assume the $700,000 house didn't even go up in value. It's still worth $700K in 5 years, right? Well, just through principal pay down, this homeowner unlocked $77,000 in equity. It's his piggy bank. It's the savings account. Now, if something were to happen, right? I think somebody on the call, it might have been Holly, said that, you know, I think somebody's going to college and they're like, well, how do I even pay for that? And now with all these ever increasing expenses, this is how you do it. You take the $77,000 and you sell your house, you refi, you know, there's so many exit strategies, but this is how, with this piggy bank, this savings account that you literally didn't have to go and open a savings account, right? This is just another way for you to really be able to unlock some money through real estate. Now, on the next slide, there's also some pretty cool stuff on there too. So the next slide is, how does owning real estate benefit me, right? Now, for one, you're not messing around with no 9% increases every year. You got a $3,500 payment, your payment's $3,500. Unless something crazy happens, which they shouldn't if you have a good loan officer calculating numbers, right? But your payment's going to be $3,500. It's not going to change unless you make a change, right? Now, the next slide. You get to leverage other people's money, right? When you go to buy a house, you got to come up with your first month's rent, probably your last month's rent, then your deposit. You know, you're probably coming up with 3 months total in one sitting. That's probably like $15K, right? So assuming your payment or your rent is about $5,000 a month, right? In this scenario, you get to leverage other people's money to be able to buy another house. I've helped people buy with literally not even a penny out of their pocket. It's happened before. And loan officers are there to help you learn how that's option, right? But then you also have options to grow. You have options, kind of like I mentioned earlier, where you have options to use that $77,000 for the kids' college fund. You have options to grow. Now you're a better borrower in the eyes of the creditor. I mean, if you're out there trying to get a car loan for, say, $40,000, why would the bank tell you no if you have a mortgage for $400,000? You can obviously manage your credit line, right? And then you could, options to grow, right? Let your first home pay for your second home. Right? What does that even mean? Somebody asked me that today. They're like, how would my first home even pay for the second one? Well, you can either sell your current home that now you have $77,000 in equity, and there's your down payment for the next one. You didn't save up for it. Your first home paid for it, right? Or you can just rent it out and then go buy another house. And now say you're making an extra $500 a month from your rental. Well, that $500 is probably going now towards your mortgage payment on the other end, right? Somehow or some way, you can make your first house pay for the second house. Then you got the college retirement fund, the life event fund, right? And then you got the 6 ways to make money in real estate. A lot of people, they only think that there's only one way, rents, right? But you got appreciation, depreciation, principal pay down. You got tax write-offs. You got inflation working on your favor as a homeowner, right? The big bad guy in the room, inflation. And then you got the return on investment. So Art, I mean, you're the loan officer. How many options have you seen home borrowers leverage, such as these ones, throughout the years? I mean, you get to see these people grow. You get the pleasure of doing the refinances too, right?
Correct. So yeah, definitely, you see a huge benefit when you own. Obviously, when you own multiple homes, you get to write, depreciation, appreciation, they're receiving rents. So just a huge benefit, return of investment, I'll talk about mine personally. I think I invested on my first home, and don't laugh, guys, it was like $12,000. And those $12,000 now in my equity is about $400,000. So for me, investing $12,000 in 5 years, I made $400,000 with those $12,000. That
I got a
return of
question for
investment
you.
was huge on me, you know.
Those 400K, you didn't start a savings account. You didn't start putting $500 away a month, right? Like it was
Right.
just naturally came, right?
Correct.
I mean, that's the easiest money you've ever made.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
absolutely.
about, Voltaire, the owner of this company, his portfolio, 2021. So the last half of 2020, 2021, the first half of 2022, we saw about 18 to 22% in appreciation. Voltaire's portfolio, his real estate portfolio, he's got 50 tenants around town paying him rent. He's building another 50 units from the ground up. So my man knows what he's doing. His portfolio, just through appreciation, went up $1 million in equity. So he made $1 million in those years without lifting a finger, just because he owned the property and it went up in value. Now imagine you own 50 of those. Yeah, it's gonna add up to $1 million. $1 million without doing nothing. That's crazy. But let's go back
Right.
into the slideshow.
I just added some links to the chat in case anyone needs the Lepe links for the Eventbrite for more workshops, and the YouTube page.
Dope. That's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit
commercial
more about
break.
those links? What is it?
A little commercial.
A little commercial break. All right, cool. Yeah, so definitely check out those links, and then the YouTube page. That's where we post all the recordings of our prior workshops as well. But then this is my favorite part. Now you actually have a return on your investment, because believe it or not, whether you believe it or not, it's an investment. You buying a house, it's an investment. Go on to the next slide for me, Claudia. So here's how it looks like, right? Now you got an investor that wants to buy a $500,000 house. Well, this investor, they have to put 20% down minimum, 100K. Art, tell me when I'm telling lies, right? 20% down,
Uh-huh.
investor,
Correct.
100K. So if
Correct.
I, as an investor, want to buy this $500,000 house, I got to come up with 100K. I got to save up 100K. Now, say in 5 years, this house that I purchased goes up in value 50,000. That's not crazy. You live in San Diego. In 5 years, yeah, it'll go up 50K. Well, now your house in 5 years is worth 550,000, right? So let's look
Right.
at some math down at the bottom, right? So check this out, Art. You got your appreciation of $50,000 divided by your investment of $100,000, meaning you
Right.
put in 100K to make 50, right? That gives you a
Mhm.
50% return on investment. That's pretty solid, right? Now let's compare that to
Really
your
good.
guys' 401ks, your IRAs. Hopefully you're doing really well, but usually, I'm seeing those being 7, 8, 9, 10%. And at that, I mean, if you're getting that kind of return, you're happy, right? You're happy if you're getting that in your 401k. Now here, this investor got 50% return on investment on this property. Now let's go to the next slide, Claudia. Now this is the owner, like the owner user, like I bought this house to live in there, right? So I'm buying the same $500,000 house, but now Raul, Raul want to buy this to live in it, right? So now as a first time buyer, I get to leverage one of the programs where I get to put in like 3.5% down, right, Art?
Correct.
And that's just one of the options. Say I came up with 3.5% down. I scraped up $17,500, right? That's my investment. And in the same 5 years, I made 50K, right? So in 5 years, that same house is still worth 550, right? So now I have a $50,000 in equity, right? The appreciation
Right.
divided by my investment of 17,500. Now my return on investment is 285%. Let that sink in. You invested $17,500 to make 50K. If somebody came up to me and said, hey man, give me $17,000 right now, I'll give you 50K in 5 years, probably say, yeah, that's 285% return. So that's the return on investment that we're talking about, right? Now, this is how rich people look at their numbers, how they see their investments grow, right? I'm around Voltaire all the time. I'm looking at his portfolio, and I help him with his portfolio all the time as well. And I'm looking at it, and it's all about percentages. So we got to start looking at our numbers and see what are the percentages telling us, because I could have told you I made 50K and Is that good? Is that bad? We don't know, right? But if I tell you I made 285%, yeah, that's pretty solid. What's the next slide? Cool. So there's a lot of home buying misconceptions, like a lot of them. And that's one of the reasons why here at Lepe Tendwell Properties, we've pride ourselves in educating the community. So that way everybody has all the information that you need to be able to make an educated decision. So Art, you sit down with a lot of first-time buyers. I mean, a lot of them. And I'm sure you hear a bunch of misconceptions and reasons why people tell themselves why they can't buy. And that's what gets me. People tell themselves that they're not qualified rather than allowing the real estate professionals tell them, hey, this is what you got to do to get qualified. So tell us, Art, what are some of the misconceptions that you hear? What are people telling themselves to not buy?
Man, so yeah, like Raul says, there's multiple clients they nervous, they're scared, they're going to sit down with us and they're scared, they're nervous, they don't know what we're going to tell them. A lot of misconceptions are you need 20% down, obviously 20% down in San Diego, let's be honest, it's very hard, right? So you don't need 20%. People say, well, what, I don't know what my credit score is, or what's the credit score required, and people think it's got to be like 800 or just a number that's up there. You don't need an 800 credit score. Wait for the markets to adjust. That's like the big one that we always hear. We're gonna wait for the market to crash. Let's be honest. When there's no inventory and there's still a high demand, we're not going to see the market crash, or it's still very competitive. So those are the misconceptions we mostly see as a loan officer.
Yeah, and I think what you're trying to say right there with waiting for the market to adjust is just timing the market, right? Like, oh, I want to let the market bottom out. I'm going to time it perfectly, buy it right there, and then let it shoot up like a rocket and take advantage of all the appreciation. I've never met anybody that did that on purpose.
Right. Yeah, that's challenging.
Yeah. And since we're on the misconceptions audience, if you have some misconceptions that you're like, man, I don't know about this one, or this is something that I hear, throw it in the chat. We want to hear what you guys are being told out there as to why home buying is quote unquote impossible.
I'll throw in.
Yeah.
I'm the audience too.
Okay. Let's do it, audience.
No, another misconception is now that we had 2 unicorn years during COVID and the interest rate was really good, 2%, 3%, there's a misconception of the interest rates going back to that low. Is that ever going to happen, or will it happen? What's your
my take on it is we don't know, right? We don't know what rates are going to do. We don't know what rates are going to do tomorrow. We don't know what they're going to do next week, right? What I can say is that usually when we see rates start spiking down again, we see everybody that did not buy come out, and we have a big bidding war. And that's when, people that are making offers on properties, right now you're seeing multiple offers, right, going on one property. And imagine when rates drop down and you have 60 to 70 people making offers back, like when the COVID years, you're going to have a bidding war. It makes it harder. So I always tell clients, and my advice is, if you can afford it, buy the house now, because eventually I do think rates will eventually drop. And it's so much easier to refinance to that lower mortgage payment than to be buying at that time when those bidding wars are out, all those bidding wars are out.
Yeah, and if I may add to that too, I mean, we just saw demand go down 3%, right? So people are kind of taking a back seat and saying, all right, there's still a lot of competition, don't get me wrong, right? But I'm noticing that there's a small population taking a back seat and saying, hey, I'm gonna kick back on buying real quick, right? Now check this out. Everybody's waiting for the prices to go down, for the rates to go down. Everybody's waiting for it. So the moment that the media starts saying, oh, the rates went down, guess what's going to happen? Everybody's going to go get qualified and start buying a house. Naturally, what's going to happen? Well, since there's no inventory, everyone's going to start bidding on the same house because rates went down. So now they can buy it, right? All that's going to happen is because there's 20 people trying to buy the same house. Now there's a bidding war, and that $500,000 house is now going to be like 550, 570, right? So what I'm seeing is the people that are kind of moving along here and getting ahead, they're taking advantage of where the prices are at now. They're marrying the price, right? Marrying the house, and they're dating the rate, meaning let me just get my house now. Let me lock in my price now. And then when rates come down the line, I'll get to renegotiate my interest rate, aka refi, right? So, but you can't renegotiate your sales price. Once your sales price is there, it is what it is. But like Art said, renegotiate that rate.
Yep, absolutely.
The not so ugly truths.
Yeah,
Dun,
paint
dun,
it pretty
dun.
for us, Art.
All right, guys. So a lot of people, obviously they thought 20% down was required. First time buyers, they can buy as little as 0% down, 3% down, FHA 3.5% down. We have VA loans that's 100% financing. You don't need a perfect credit score, obviously. You need a minimum of 620. I've gotten people approved with as low as a 580 FICO on an
Nice.
FHA loan. So people just that think that you have to have a perfect credit score is not required. Waiting for the market to adjust, and that's nobody knows when it's how to time a market. If you find a home that you like, definitely go after it.
For sure, for sure. Now, if you don't have that much money and you're not VA, so you're not military, so you won't be able to buy a house 0 down. But I don't have that much money in my savings account, Art. Actually, I don't have enough that I'm actually kind of embarrassed to even start the process. What do you think I should do?
You should definitely sit down with a mortgage consultant.
Why would I do that?
After
I have no money.
because there's like I said, the first time buyers with as little as 0% down, right?
But that's
So
military. I'm not military.
no, there's down payment assistance,
Ah,
All right, so once we sit down with you guys, we put a plan together, right, guys? We put, a plan, we sit down, we understand it. And then from there, obviously, when you sit down with me, I'm gonna have options for you guys. I'm gonna explain to you guys what options are available. If it's 0% down, explain to you the down payment assistance program. If it's a first-time home buyers, FHA, we talk about a 3.5% down, and we put a plan for you, based off what we speak about, your payments, your down payments, we base a plan for you guys. That way, when you guys go out for your home search, you guys already know what to look for, what payment you guys want, how much of a home you guys want. So it's really good that you guys sit down and get a consultation with it, where they can explain to you the process and what options are really available for you.
there you go. Worst case scenario, like Art said, you walk out of there with a plan. So that way you're not telling yourself, I think I'll be ready in 12 months. No, at that point, you're walking out of there. Hey, if I do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to be ready in 12 months. That's what a goal, right? Action items. That's what's going to separate a goal from a dream. So make sure you sit down with the loan officer, your favorite real estate professional, get that action item list for sure. Claudia, go ahead and go to the next slide for us, please. This is actually one of my favorites. So this is a success story over here. Art, do you remember this beautifully remodeled house?
Yeah, I actually do. Beautiful kitchen.
So what happened with these buyers, man? How'd you get a hold of
Oh,
these guys? How'd you
okay,
make their dreams
so
come true?
actually, this was a transaction with the Lepe team, and they were first-time buyers. Again, they sat down, not knowing what they can qualify for, what options were available. Sat down, we put a plan together. They didn't have much money in the bank. They didn't even know where to start. They didn't know where their credit score was, what they can qualify. We went with actually a down payment assistance program where they gave them 3% down, and they came in with little as minimal money down, and they got this brand new remodeled property. And I mean, they were renting in a property in Lemon Grove, right? And then they bought a single family house in National City, and I mean, you guys can see it. It's pretty well equipped and remodeled.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I love that story too, because I remember when they approached me, they saw one of the videos that I posted of a beautiful remodeled house, and they slid in my DMs. They're like, hey man, like, what do I got to do to buy this house? And I just gave them the rough numbers from the buyer that was actually buying it. And they were like, yeah, this is not for me. This home buying stuff is just not for me. I was like, well, maybe not this house, but like home buying is for everybody. It just takes the right people and the right plan to help you out. And they're like, no, bro, like honestly, we're embarrassed to even sit down with you or any of your loan officers because we just don't have any money. And when it came down to it, they understood that we're not here to judge. We're here to actually help. And when they sat down, it wasn't until they sat down with both Art and I where they were like, all right, yeah, like I don't need that much money. I don't need that perfect credit score. Like, I don't need to be the perfect borrower in the eyes of the bank. And if you don't take anything else from this workshop, I want you to take this. Don't tell yourself no. Let the real estate professionals give you a plan. I get a lot of people that say, but I don't have this credit score, but I don't have that. Doesn't matter. We can figure out a way and make this happen for you. Just like these buyers, they actually moved in last week. So we need to go stop by and pay them a visit, Art.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So this
Renee,
is where we're opening it up for some Q&A. Claudia said she's ready for whatever questions come in. She says she's going to tackle them. So I think that we should all test her. No, I'm just kidding. What questions do you guys have? We went over a lot of good information, a lot of information, right? A lot of numbers too, but we want to make sure that all of this is making sense in your journey as well. Everybody has a different journey, but nonetheless, we're all on a journey. With that being said, does anybody have any questions?
don't be shy. But I
What?
liked your success story because it does remind me that, you know, the people who will be or watching this or will watch it, they need to know that, you know, on the first try, it might not, you know, be there yet, but you at least want to know where in the game you're,
Right.
you know, first base, second base, third base, and then let us or let your realtor team, real estate team take you to the home base. So it is great way to just, and we've had a lot of clients like that, that it's just like, well, let me see. And then they end up being ready or they get an awesome loan. You know, so it's doesn't hurt to try and have that game plan.
Right. So yeah, it just definitely helps. Like when you, because a lot of people they come out and they're saying like, man, I didn't think I'm ready. And all of a sudden they'll be like, okay, cool. Like I got this and I got that, but I might need to work on this. So like the plan, you guys got to sit down with your real estate professionals or your consultant, to get that plan going. Cause you're going to have a lot more things than what you might have a lot more things than you think, and you might just need very little. Or you might just be like, well, I'm ready, like, and it gets a plan ahead of you guys, for sure.
Yeah, 1000%. But I do want to say thank you for everybody that joined and stayed on with us. I know it's dinner time. Shoot, on a Tuesday, you probably want to be doing other things, but I appreciate and admire your dedications to your real estate goals and allowing us to tell you a little bit about what we know in this real estate market. Claudia's going to throw into the chat where you guys can put some reviews, access some of our links for our newsletter, things of that nature. So that way you're always in the know of upcoming workshops and what's happening in the real estate market as well. But again, your feedback is very valuable, whether you think we did a great job or whether you think we can improve on a thing or two. We'd love to hear back from you because that's the only way that we get better. And more importantly, you're spreading out the word of this awesome information that we're just dishing out, for free 2 times a month to the whole community. So that way everybody else can jump on and take away a thing or two as well.
Yeah, but the next workshop we have is July 6th, and that's a Thursday at 6:30, and Voltaire will be giving that class, and it's how to play Monopoly with real estate and grow your wealth. So, if you took something away from today's class, I definitely will encourage you to join that one, and that can also plant another seed of how, one home can get you into multiples. So it's exciting.
100%. And the best part about all of this is that you're learning from people who are actually doing the thing. You're not learning from your neighbor who bought a house 12 years ago when the market was totally different. You're learning from people who are in this every single day, whether as homeowners, realtors, whatever it may be. And that next workshop, playing Monopoly in real life, it's real. Voltaire did it. Like I just got done saying, my man, he just picked up his 50th tenant. So he's got 50 tenants around town. And he did that literally playing Monopoly in real life, taking one house, buying another, taking 4, turning into a hotel, right? Things like that. We want to teach you the rules to the game as well. So that way you can make your money. And that way you can walk around talking about, I got 50 tenants around town as well. But if nobody has any more questions, I'm done taking time out of your evening. I'll let you eat dinner. I'm done talking your ear off. I want to say that I'm really grateful for everybody's time and attention tonight. And I hope that I see you on the next workshop.
Thank
Bye,
you,
guys.
Art, for joining us. Thank
Okay.
you, everyone. Appreciate everyone showing up.
Yeah, appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Raul, for carrying the class. You're back. Art, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, guys.
I'm
I
gonna,
did good.
yeah,
Yeah. I liked it.